Hey guys, how's it going? Today is Monday, July 15th, 2024. Today the hoof trimmer is actually here. So my dad's helping him out, which leaves me to do the feeding. Normally my pap feeds whenever my dad and I go for breakfast, but I think he must have something going on this morning here, so I'm gonna get going with mix and feed. We're actually try to use our New Holland skid loader here, see how it works out for me. I had the axle pulled out of it and took it down to the neighbor, and he put it in his lathe and turned the splines down to make them fit so the snap ring fits flush. It was starting to get wore there, and the snap ring was actually pulling up off the axle. There's what we believe was happening, so we had to add a couple extra shims there to shim it out to make that snap ring fit tight. So I'm gonna try it. I hope it stays together, and I guess I'll let you know if it falls apart. Got the feed mixed here. I had took the skid loader across there earlier because the milk truck was here, and I didn't have enough room to get this back in and run the feed out, which was no big deal. So I was working on some other stuff there. Got some corn ready to take up to the heifers here. So I'll go over here and run this out, and then we can go feed the heifers. Old 2090. Got the feed running into the cows. The wheel stayed on that New Holland skid loader, so hopefully it continues to do that. About tired of working on that thing. If that don't work, we're gonna have to look into getting some rebuilt axles and the whole housing, everything all in one piece. You just bolt right onto the side of the skid loader, because they're starting to get wore pretty good. Skid loader's got 8,000 hours on it. There's no shame for it. So eventually we got to do something. But I still think the skid loader has some life left to it, so we'll keep running her. I haven't filmed much of the calves lately. Last week we moved a bunch around. We got some younger ones moved into these big pens here, weaning off milk, and then we got some young ones that are getting bottle fed. And there's a Holstein in each of these pens here. They're all heifer calves. We had quite a few Holstein heifer calves there lately. And there's another one that was born today. Well, it was actually a bull calf, I guess. We gotta get him in out of the lot there beside the house this afternoon. I'm gonna go up here and feed the heifers grain. They don't need corn silage today. We fed them corn silage yesterday. They get corn silage every other day, and then high moisture corn. And then the one pen gets a bucket of calf feed because they're a little bit younger yet. We got the ones out front all fed. There's two pens out there. One pen got a bucket of high moisture corn and a bucket of calf feed, and the other ones are old enough to get 2 buckets of high moisture corn. They're taken care of. I'm out here out back. Got the steers here. Gotta push this silage in for them. There's just 4 steers in here. Last week and a couple weeks ago we had took a couple to the sale barn, so I thinned this pen out pretty good. A couple other ones over here in this pen that can be brought over here. Sometime we get time to sort some out. And then there's another pen down there full of steers as well, younger ones. So there's plenty of steers around. No danger of them going extinct around here. There we go. I like how much corn, that's for sure. I had someone comment and say feed the moldy corn silage to the steers. And we do, if we get a bad scoop or something, we bring it in here. They'll eat it. No joke, they'll eat mold over the good silage. Get a couple clumps of mold in here or something, you'll see them eating it first. It's kind of crazy. Doesn't bother them though. Some cattle are picky and they don't eat it, but these guys here, we'll clean her up. It is another hot one today. I've been having a good bit of hot weather lately. This week it's supposed to get even worse. The one day is supposed to be 100 degrees, and I don't think that's even with the heat index. Probably gonna be about 105 or something. It's pretty crazy for us. Usually it don't get quite this hot, but usually in July it does get pretty warm. But figured I'd show you the corn here. This is some of the last that was planted. I don't know if you guys can see, but that's some nice corn, I think. This field blazed a little wet. You can kind of see where it is wet right here. It's a wet spot down there in that corner too. And then the field up above there, it looks pretty nice too. There for a while, it didn't look too great, but looks good now. Could use some rain. All the corn could use some rain. It's been a couple weeks since we had an actual measurable amount. So we're due. Alfalfa needs it, corn needs it, and it'll cool things off a little bit, make it nicer for the cattle. Cattle don't like the heat, yeah, they're definitely minding the heat. Up here at this farm, there's a good bit of shade in there because the way the barn is, and the back's not really open, so the sun don't shine in. It's just here at the front of the feed trough, and then usually about lunchtime the sun will be directly above, so the cattle in here, if they're inside, they're in the shade, and it stays pretty cool. There's usually a breeze coming down through here. There's no fans or nothing in these barns up here to keep the cattle cool, and then they have the creek out there they can go drink. But yeah, they don't mind the heat too bad. It's just the dairy cows that take it pretty hard around this time of the year. But we got all the fans going that we got, and the sprinklers, they're running I think it's like every 10 minutes probably, keeping them cool. So they're not doing too bad, but we are dealing with some mastitis. It's a terrible time for that too as well. It's just one of them things you gotta deal with about once a year. When it gets hot like this, have trouble with sick cows, but before you know it, it'll be fall again and it'll be cooling off, and we'll be complaining about the cold. Pulled the other skid loader into the shop here. It's due for some maintenance, needs the oil changed. Fuel filters need changed, and the hydraulic filters also need changed. It gets used pretty hard and gets used pretty often, so it racks up the hours. So it's well due for a service. Just haven't gotten around to it because the other one has been broke down, so now we have the other one up and running. I wasn't using this one this morning, so it didn't get warm on me at all. It's kind of a pain to change oil whenever the engine's super hot back there. I don't like the way this one here is set up. It doesn't have a drain plug in the bottom because the fuel tank is actually at the bottom of the engine. I don't know who designed these skid loaders, but I gotta say they weren't the smartest. Because, I mean, a skid loader is kind of hard because they try to compact everything, cram everything in, so we gotta work on stuff that's in tight spaces and whatnot. It's not very easy to get to, but you kind of just have to deal with it. But it's got a hose coming out the back here, and then there's a thing you turn inside to drain the engine oil out. So you gotta take the hose off and blow air through it, because it's down here where it gets mud built up into it. And you can see I gotta stick my arm down in here to turn that thing to let the oil out, and I also have to stick my arm down in there to put that hose back on. And you can't see what you're doing, and you can't get your arm in there very easy. So yeah, it's quite fun to work on. Got the AC going here. Can't seem to get that hose back on down in here. I know you guys can't probably see very well. I can't see well either. But I'm having to take this engine oil filter off right here, and I think that lets me get down in there a lot easier, if I remember from the last time. You also gotta have about 3 different filter wrenches because all the filters are a different size. So that's always fun too. It's all the bigger the engine oil filter is on this thing. Crazy. Now I think I can stick my hand down in here and get that hose back on and we'll get the oil drained out. Finally got the oil to drain out of it. The hose was kinked here in a spot and it was like collapsed shut. You can see this mess right here. So I cut that off. Had to make the hose a little bit shorter. So now it sticks right there, but I have to hold it on inside so it don't make a mess down in the skid loader there. So I can't really hold the camera and drain the oil both at the same time. But there's a little thing you gotta flip up and turn in there. And then there it comes. It takes like 2 years to drain it. I don't know why. I don't know who come up with this setup, but it's definitely not the greatest one out there. It's kind of nice. You don't have to crawl in under the skid loader, but then you got to deal with the kinked hose and hold the hose on all the time to get the oil to drain out. It's not very fun. 15-minute project usually turns into an hour to 2 hours around this place. Seems like no matter what you work on, nothing ever goes the way you want it. But the hose is staying on. I'm not going to waste my time holding that hose all the faster it's draining out. So I'll go ahead and change out the hydraulic oil filters and stuff while I'm waiting. I'll just have to keep an eye on that to make sure it still keeps draining out that hose. And make sure it don't slip off, because if it does, then it'll drain down inside the skid loader, which it's not too big of a deal because all the more oil there'll be. I need to take the plates off the bottom and wash it out good anyhow after I get this job done. Putting new fuel filters on it here. It's got this filter here, and then it's also got an inline. Changing both. That was the easy one. The hard one's this inline filter down inside here. Finally got the oil drained out of this thing. All it needs yet's fresh oil put back in it. I put the new engine oil filter on it, new fuel filters, and then I gotta change them hydraulic oil filters yet. And we also got a new seat to put in here. This one's it's pretty shot. So it is. So I gotta figure out how that bolts on there. I think you put the cab up, and then the bolts come down through. I can film. They hold that track on, and then the seats it's on the track. So everything, the suspension and everything will be new with the seat. So that'll be pretty nice having a good seat in there. It'll make a difference, I'm sure. Should be all done. Just gotta fire it up, and then we'll top the oil levels off after it fills the filters up. Hey guys, it's happening. It's the next day here now. I want to get the 2290 in the shop here today because I want to take the hood off of it. I got stuff to repaint it and put new decals on it, make that tractor look a little better. I also got some other work to do to it. I'd like to get the air conditioning going. I got a new compressor here for it. It's been here for probably at least 15 years now, and it just hasn't got put on yet. So we have the new fittings for it and the compressor. Like I said, we've had them for a while, just now finally getting around to getting it put on the tractor, and had to order some other stuff for it. I had to order a new clutch with the pulley and stuff on it, and also a new belt and a new dryer that goes on the front there with the radiator too. So hopefully that's all it needs to get the air conditioner going in that thing. It'd be nice. I'd like to put a cab kit in it, and need to put a new seal on the rear window, but we'll get to that here after we get the air conditioning going. We'll make sure we can get it going first, because it kind of defeats the purpose of having a nice cab kit in it and stuff if you have to run with the windows open anyhow if the air conditioner don't work. This morning we got the shop cleaned up. It was pretty dirty because we've been working on skid loaders in here and stuff, and during the busy season, you know, tolls just get thrown about anywhere because you're busy, don't have time to, you know, keep things organized. So I did get through and try to organize some stuff, make it look a little better, and have enough room to get the tractor in here. But got this four-wheeler here. It needs a new battery, and carburetor needs some work done to it. It won't run. We tried to jump it last year, get it running, but I think the carburetor needs rebuilt. So what I think I'm gonna do is pull this four-wheeler out of here. That'll give me more room to get the 2290 back in here. That way we can have it in here to work on the air conditioner while the hood's off. So make it a lot easier to put that compressor on that way. And then have enough room to sit the hood in front of the tractor, because I want to take the hood off. That way I don't have to worry about masking stuff off the tractor, getting overspray on it. It'll be a lot easier if the hood's down here on the ground also. I got the skid loader all finished yesterday, and then the afternoon there we got the new seat put in it. It's pretty crazy how much give this thing has to it compared to what the old seat was like. The cushions are completely shot on that. Thing makes a big difference. Makes the skid loader ride a lot smoother. I think we have to look into getting one for the New Holland too. Cut the hood off the old 22 here. It was a little more heavier than I anticipated it to be. So what we ended up doing was putting those there straps around it, and come in here with the skid loader and the bale spear with that piece of pipe on it. Picked it up, and then Dad helped it off the tractor, and then we set it on these sawhorses here. But to look at it, it being fiberglass, you wouldn't think it's that heavy, but it is. It would probably weigh a good close to 300 pounds, I bet. But what I'm doing now is I got some hot soapy water, just scrubbing it off here, some grease and stuff there, and then I'm gonna take the heat gun, try to get them decals off, and then I'll get through with a sander, some light sandpaper. Don't want to rough it up too much. This is enough to make the paint stick good, and then sand it down. And then I got some epoxy to fill in here, a couple places where it's messed up, and then here on the other side the fibers are showing through, so I'd like to get some epoxy on there, sand that epoxy down good, and then we can lay a good coat of paint over it. Paint this here black. The front will mask that off, and I don't know about painting this here grill. I think I'll let that be. It's not rusted. Some of these tractors, the grills were silver on them, and then I feel like some of them, I think it might have been the later 90 series, before they moved to the 94 series, they had started painting them black. The ones that are painted black, they look pretty sharp, but try to keep it original if I can. This here lower grill is not rusted, but it is pretty dinged up. I don't know if I'd be able to maybe find one somewhere. It's not too big of a deal. But as far as the side shields and this grill go, they're not in that bad a shape, so I think I might just try to buff them out and see if I can get them to match up good. My main reason for wanting to paint this is this right here. This just makes the tractor look awful, I think. Being fiberglass, you wouldn't think it would rust like that, but the thing is, these here rails that get down the hood on the inside, they're metal, And if there's some rust down in there between the two, actually, it's not fiberglass. That is metal. You got fiberglass here, and then down the outside you got this here metal. That would make sense why it's rusted. We had thought that the rust was pulling through the fiberglass, but I guess since that's a strip of metal there, it would cause it to rust. I'd have to make sure I get that sanded down good, so we're not gonna have to do this all over again here someday. Because if I don't get it down far enough, the rust is just gonna pull right through that, and kind of defeat the purpose of doing this whole project. You know, I had painted those rims up there on the back. They make the tractor look nice, and then I'd like to go through and see if I can buff a lot of this here surface rust out. That way I don't have to worry about repainting that. That would be quite the project. But yeah, that'll be for another video. Now that the hood's off, it'll be easy to get to this AC compressor here. And then this here's the dryer I was talking about. I feel like we might be having some issues with some lines here. I don't know. Won't know till we get the compressor hooked up and get things running. See if we have any leaks. That would probably be the hardest part. Fixing leaks if we have them, but hoping don't end up that way. I think I'm gonna wrap this video up here. This will be a whole new video of painting this. I'll be sure to film doing that. But that'll be for another day too, because it's almost time to milk. Catch you guys in the next video. Have a good one.